everybody. So we are so excited to be here today. We are here to talk about the latest animated news in the world of TV and movie news. We're talking all things animation. I'm Rachel, and I'm joined by my two friends, Jonathan and Adam. And Jonathan, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Jonathan. I'm excited to be back. I love doing these.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we're recording this on Monday, and I hope you're all having a fun Labor Day holiday and enjoying a day off. And Adam, you want to introduce yourself as well?
All right. Hey guys, I'm Adam, but I go under the Animated Antic, and I'm so excited to be talking about animation news. I haven't talked about it in a while, so...
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. All right. Well, this is going to be fun. We have a pretty good variety, I feel like, of topics. I was thinking, should we do one? Because I didn't think there was that much that had happened. And then we figured out our list, and I was like, wow, that was a lot.
I feel like we'd say that every time. We always think, oh, there's not going to be that much. And then I go and find a whole bunch of stuff we weren't thinking about.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting. So, all right. So we have the first news is we have the animated box office we usually try to talk about. And we had the big news out of Sony is Hotel Transylvania 3. It has become their biggest hit worldwide they've ever had for Sony animation at 476 million worldwide, and which passed Hotel Transylvania 2. And the franchise as a whole has now gotten $1.3 billion total. So that's pretty exciting for them. Adam, what do you think about that?
I think this is really good news for Sony Pictures Animation. I'm glad to see that their hard work on this movie, the Hotel Transylvania 3, has really paid off. Last year was a very bad year for them. Most of their movies were not good. Their second movie released last year, which was the Emoji Movie, ended up winning 5 Razzie Awards, which is something that's not good for an animation studio. So seeing how this movie has made a lot of money and has become their highest grossing animated movie to date, that's very exciting for me and for the people at Sony. It's going to motivate them to work on better movies and more original content, and I'm really excited to see what they have coming up next, especially from Genndy Tartakovsky, the director of the Hotel Transylvania trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it inspires them to pick more, I don't know, to be a little more creative and that I hope it does that for them too. What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, I feel the same way. The Hotel Transylvania series is probably, at least to me, from what I've seen, it's their best series. They have the best stories. I'm hoping that this is going to show them that the more creative original stories are better than ones that have been put together by corporate, like the Emoji Movie.
Right.
It's just giving the director basically free reign to make the story their way is always the best idea, and I hope that this shows them that and they keep moving forward with stories like Hotel Transylvania instead of like the Emoji Movie.
Yeah, agreed. We will see that continued success with their Spider-Man movie coming out this December.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one.
It could be a real game changer to me in the world of animation. So I'm hoping
I wish that more studios would do superhero movies animated. Like, I know the big thing is doing the live action ones, and they always look cool, but I feel like there's so many more possibilities with animation than there is with live action.
Yeah,
especially like with the stylized way they're doing this one. It just looks so good.
I do too. I think animation has a vast array of possibilities compared to live action. With live action, you have limitations. With animation, the only limit is your imagination, as they say.
Yeah, and this whole hybrid animation that they're using for the Spider-Man, I think it could be really positive in its influence, because the problem that a lot of animated films have these days is they all kind of look the same. You know, they don't have a real distinctive style, and this Spider-Man looks like it has a real distinctive style, where combining the 2D and CG and they're in this hybrid animation, it looks so pretty. And so I'm so hopeful. It's my most anticipated of the year, so it's kind of cool. Like, because you're right, Sony did have a terrible year last year, even though I liked Smurf the Lost Village more than most. It was a rough year, and I hope that, I don't know, it's just kind of cool to see them come back sort of as it feels sort of like an underdog kind of coming back. So anyway, and so this weekend, had continued success for the Incredibles 2. It's out of the top 10, but it still made over $4 million, and its total gross domestic $602 million, 1.164 billion. Have now it's now the second highest grossing animated film of all time, which is amazing, and it topped Minions, which I was personally really glad to see, because I do not like Minions at all. I thought it was kind of terrible. And so I'm very excited to see Incredibles 2 taking over that spot. I don't know. What do you think about that, Adam?
I completely agree with you, Rachel. I am so happy to see Incredibles 2 take on the number 2 spot over Minions, because Minions was such a huge disappointment. It was so mediocre. There was so much wasted opportunity on that animated movie. It wasn't very funny. It was just disappointing, to put lightly. And seeing my most anticipated animated movie, which lived up to expectations, take on the number 2 spot over a really mediocre animated movie is very pleasing to me. It shows that people want to see good animated movies over sequels, over ones that really don't need one, just because it made money at the box office. It shows that if the director has a vast idea for a story, for a sequel to continue the original story, then animation studios might actually go into it and put into it, rather than, oh, we should make a sequel just because the first film made a lot of money.
Yeah, agreed. What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm happy to see it take over the number 2 spot. I'm not one that hates the Minions, but I can't say that I actually love them. And I didn't think that it was quite deserving of getting to be as popular as it was, because it's so mediocre compared to so many other animated movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to say that they don't deserve it, because obviously people like it, so in some way they deserve it, but I'm glad to see a better movie fill in that slot.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of the Minions. I think they're very annoying, but even if I liked them, I just thought that movie was very poorly written. I thought it was very poorly put together. I didn't think it was funny at all. In fact, I thought it was kind of offensive, like some of the jokes and stuff. And I don't know. I just was not a fan of it at all. And like a lot of the stuff, I didn't even understand why it was a joke, like why they had all these like references to the 1960s, and why is that funny? Like, I don't know. It was just weird.
I like the Despicable Me franchise, but the Minions I feel like are best in small doses, and this was just too much Minions all at once.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I like the first 2 movies. I own the first 2 movies. Minions and the third film were just incredibly disappointing to me, because the characters were created as comic relief characters, and clearly that's where they should have stayed. Mm-hmm. I make the argument with Minions, the family they hitchhiked with, they have a better opportunity for being in a movie than the actual Minion characters. Like the crazy family with the mother and father being played by Allison Janney and Michael Keaton. I thought they were funnier than themselves.
And hardly in the movie at all.
I know.
I completely agree with you. What on earth? Why do you have Michael Keaton in that role? Like, I have no idea. But yeah, it was weird. But anyway, oh well. So at least we have a better movie that's taking over that spot. Yeah, and real quick, so Teen Titans Go to the Movies is still in theaters, but not many. But it did make it. It so far has made $42 million worldwide. So there you go.
That's not too bad.
Not bad.
For what it was made with, I don't think that's too bad.
No, I think it should have done better because it was really funny. But yeah, it's a solid hit. And I think it shows you if they keep the budgets down, because if this thing had cost, even $60 million, then it would be a disaster. But because they kept the budget really low, then they had a little hit.
Hoping that it shows studios that they can make more low budget animated films, like ones based on the TV shows. And like Steven Universe is getting a movie, but I think as far as I know, it's only going to be on Cartoon Network. I think that if that one went to theaters, it could make just as much or more than the Teen Titans Go movie. Yeah. And I'm hoping that maybe this will pave the way for that to happen.
Yeah, agreed.
Also, like, if we get more low-budget animated movies, I really hope that more of them are traditionally animated. I love computer animation, but I think traditional animation is the best. And it's so sad that we don't get a lot of it. We've only had 4 big American and hand-drawn animated movies this year, and 3 of them are based on TV shows. So
we've had 4 this year?
For this decade.
Oh, I was gonna say, whoa,
not this year.
Yeah, because we had My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and then this, and then
the second SpongeBob movie and Winnie the Pooh.
Right. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, that's right, because that was 2011. All right, well, good. Yeah, I completely agree on that front for sure. Or at least, like I said, this hybrid animation that kind of combines the two, I think would be really nice to see more of. So, all right. The next story that we're going to talk about is there's a Wily E. Coyote movie in development over at Warner Brothers, titled Coyote versus Acme. And it's being written by John and Josh Silberman, who are executive story editors on the short-lived series Border Town. And they've done a bunch of other stuff that I've never seen. Chris McKay, who directed Lego Batman, will produce. And it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like, is Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, are they really feature film? I mean, I love Looney Tunes, and I did a this month's Obscure Animation with Stanford was all about the Bugs Bunny movie. So we were all talking about Looney Tunes. I was kind of just using it as my excuse to talk about Looney Tunes. But I don't know. I feel like the attempts to have Looney Tunes be to be feature film just doesn't work that well. And I don't know. I'm just wondering if they're better as a short. Like, how do you make Wile E. Coyote a feature film? What do you think, Adam?
I'm like on the same boat as you. I love Looney Tunes. I love Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner shorts, but I don't understand how you can make an entire animated movie based on Wile E. Coyote. I mean, it's just a series of jokes where the Coyote fails to catch the Roadrunner with these Acme products, and I don't understand how you can turn like something that's typically 7 minutes long into a feature-length animated movie. There's a good crew on board. I can give it that. The writers also worked on shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and stuff like that. And Chris McKay worked on Lego Batman, which I really liked. So it's not that I don't want to see this movie. I do, but it's just, it seems very odd for an idea that is turned from a 7-minute feature-length cartoon into a full-length hour-and-a-half long movie. And I'll just say this. I wonder what exactly the plot will be like and who the characters will movie. If they do make this a full-length animated movie, I just maybe they shouldn't make Wily Coyote talk. He's talked before, and I think cartoons, but I just don't want it to talk all the time. Like what happened in the Tom and Jerry movie where they gave them voices and they had them talk about the whole thing, and it just was so awkward.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, I don't know, because I guess I haven't seen anywhere they talk. Maybe they do talk in some of them, but that is weird, and I don't know, it's strange. What do you think, Jonathan?
Well, as far as them talking, Wily only talks when he's in cartoons with Bugs Bunny. He doesn't talk when he's in the Roadrunner cartoons.
Oh,
okay. I think he has a British accent, but I don't know about. I love Looney Tunes. I've always loved Looney Tunes ever since I was a kid. So I'm glad to see that they're coming back to the big screen. But to do it with Wily and Roadrunner by themselves seems like an odd choice, just because their format works so much better as shorts.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm not going to say it's a terrible idea because I don't know what exactly they have in mind. So it could be good, but if it's just going to be an extended version of the shorts, I don't know how that's going to work. We'll see. I will watch it when it comes out because I love the Looney Tunes. So yeah, that's all. It's too early to say for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. Next story that we're going to talk about is we have a new series from the Rick and Morty creators that is being picked up by Hulu called Solar Opposites. And this will be a 16 episode series. It's created by Justin Roiland and Mike McMahon. And it's going to be over 2 seasons, and it's by 20th Century Fox, character designs, but I don't see a plot summary.
I found it. It's about a family of aliens living in middle-class America.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that looks interesting. I mean, they're really talented people, and yeah, I'd be curious to watch it. What do you think, Adam?
I think it would be interesting too. The plot seems very interesting and comedical in a way. I just hope it doesn't have the same huge effect that Rick and Morty had. Like the last thing that happened last year with the Szechuan sauce, that was insane.
Yeah.
I just don't. I wanted to get popular, but I don't want it to have too much popularity like Rick and Morty did, because Rick and Morty really blew up fast and it really turned a huge fan base off. So
yeah, I agree with you for sure. What do you think, Jonathan?
I will definitely check it out. I like Justin Roiland. I actually have liked him long before Rick and Morty, because he also worked on a Disney show called Fish Hooks that I loved. I don't think it was very popular, but I thought it was hilarious. So I'm excited to see more from him. I'm not the biggest fan of Rick and Morty. I think it is very creative. I think I've said this before. I think it's very creative, very smart, but it's so dark and depressing that I can't bring myself to actually fully like it. Mm-hmm. I like the creativity, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's less depressing.
Well,
so we'll see what happens with this.
I wouldn't say it's, for me, I wouldn't say it's depressing. I'd say it's really cynical. And
they lean too much into the cynical humor, and
yeah.
I don't know. I prefer things to be a bit lighter than Rick and Morty is.
Yeah. I can completely understand that. I like it in small doses. I can handle it in small doses.
I've never binged Rick and Morty. I watch an episode or two here and there. I'm still not finished with all the episodes that are out just because I don't watch them very often.
Yeah.
I actually did see the Fish Hooks. Yeah, the character that Justin Roiland played on Fish Hooks, he actually used his Morty voice for that. Did you know that? Like that.
Yeah, I knew that because I recognized his voice right away when I started seeing the stuff for Rick and Morty. He has such a distinct voice. Him and Lemon Grab on Adventure Time, just the way he does that voice. I love the voice.
Yeah.
Cool. So another new series that has been announced is from Leica. They're going to be doing a Paranorman series, and this we don't know. I don't think we know what it's going to be streaming on or where it's going to. We just had the announcement, the episodic series, and I think that's cool. I love Paranorman. I think it's super kind of underrated, and I love the animation. And I think the story had like really big heart, and there was this really interesting sort of take on the bully narrative that we see, whereas the person who was bullied has become the bully, and here you have Norman, who is this misfit trying to kind of get through to her. I thought that was really moving and lovely, and I thought the voice work was amazing. I don't know if they'd get the same voice work for this series, but I really love Paranorman, so I definitely watch it for sure.
Yeah, I definitely watched this new Paranorman show too. The movie was really good. I thought it was very creative. I'm very curious to see what the animation style will be in it. Will it be like will it be traditionally animated? Will it be stop motion like the movie was? I'm very curious to see what it's going to be like. But this is a very exciting idea. I like seeing movies being turned into TV shows if they're really good, that is. And Paranorman was a good movie. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know a ton yet, but yeah, I'm definitely really looking forward to it.
For me, Paranorman is actually the only movie from Leica that I have not seen. So I can't say that I'm like excited because I've never seen it. It's one that I've planned to see. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I'm glad to see that Leica is doing more things because they don't have a very high production schedule. They very rarely put out movies, it seems. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to see anything new from them.
Yeah, definitely. I highly recommend it. So, all right. Then we have from Crunchyroll, which is a streaming service for anime. They've announced their first original series. They're going to be streaming next year called High Guardian Spice. And they put out a little featurette about it. And it was particularly sort of toting the fact that it was very diverse and it's an all-women staff and that they were going to be doing 2D. And, it's kind of interesting to see the response to this. But I think it looks good. And there are some people who say, well, why is Crunchyroll doing this? Because it's not technically anime, because I guess anime has to, by purists, has to be made in Japan. But I don't care about that, and I think it looks pretty good. And I think it's cool that they have an all-female staff. I'm sure, but it still has to be a good product, so we'll see. But I thought it looked cute. I don't know. What do you think, Adam?
I can't really comment on this because I've seen the trailer. And there's not a lot that I learned from it. The trailer to me was just them telling us what the show was going to be like and not showing us. So they're just like, this show is going to be so cool. It's going to feature this stuff. And the only thing I got out of it was it's about 3 witches going to school to become guardians. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, then what is this going to be like? Is it going to be like Harry Potter? Is it going to be like Little Witch Academia? I'm very conflicted on it. From what I've seen from the character designs and the little bit of artwork, it looks interesting. But the trailer I seen was not very good because I barely learned a thing about this about this new show. And one thing that I was really conflicted by in this trailer was one of the crew members said, we're going to be doing some style of animation that some studios have lost. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's 2D animation, but it's only been not featured a lot in movies. On television and on the internet, it is thriving. It's doing very well. And it's just, this trailer really did not appeal to me, and it's not because of the show's content. It's because of what little they showed of this new show in the trailer. It was not a very good trailer, but I'm curious to see what this new show will be like. It's not that I don't like the idea for the show. It's that the trailer that showed it was really very limited and didn't show us a lot of information. So I'm interested in the show, just very bad trailer that came out for it.
Yeah, that's fair. And they were definitely very patting themselves on the back for things. And I feel like it's kind of a mistake to do that until like once the product comes out and it's good, then you can say, look, we made this good thing and we're all women. And we're, but like to lead with that, I think is kind of a mistake. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jonathan?
I like the idea that Crunchyroll is branching out beyond just being a streaming service like Netflix did before it.
Uh-huh.
I am glad to see anybody making new content. I like the title. I think I like anime titles. I don't watch a ton of anime, but I like the titles weirdly because I don't know, strange and creative. I like the title. I like the character designs. I don't know too much more than that, so I think it's too early for me to give like a full opinion. I like the idea that Crunchyroll is branching out. So
Yeah.
that's my biggest takeaway from this. I'm glad to see anybody making new things.
Yeah. Well, it is amazing. Everybody has their original content these days. I mean, it's just there's so much. It's incredible. The Adventuretime finale is airing this week as well, which is pretty exciting. How many seasons has Adventuretime been on? Do you guys know?
I think it's been on for 8 or 9 seasons.
Yeah.
Well, this is technically the 10th season because they split the 9th season into 2 just so they could say that it ran for 10 seasons, I'm pretty sure, because that makes seasons 9 and 10 quite short. But I guess technically it's 10 seasons, but it's been going on for almost a decade anyway. No matter how they want to split it up, it's been going on almost a decade. And I think that's amazing. The show has only gotten better in quality since the beginning. It's one of those shows that just kept getting better and better and better. And like, I'm sad to see it go, but I've actually seen the finale because I got a preview copy of it, and they definitely go out on a high note. So if you're like at all interested in the show, watch the finale.
Yeah, I've never seen Adventure Time. I know it's a huge hole in my animated viewing, but I've never seen it, but I want to see it. So that's exciting.
It's one of those where once you get into it, you'll binge because the episodes are short and they go like eating popcorn. You waste a whole evening in getting through one season, but it's totally worth it. You won't even notice the time going by. Like the first 2 seasons kind of went slower for me just because they were still finding their footing. But once it started getting into the more episodic and serialized bits of storytelling, then like you're totally hooked, and it's really good writing that only got better.
Cool. Are you a fan, Adam?
Yeah, I haven't really seen a lot of Adventure Time, to be honest. It's a very very weird show, but it looks very creative. It definitely has a great crew on board with it. But I haven't really watched a lot of Adventure Time, so I can't really comment on it. Maybe I'll binge watch it one day but it's really sad to see it go because it's technically the end of an era with Adventure Time because it really was the show that started this new TV cartoon renaissance, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. There's no doubt about that we wouldn't have Over the Garden Wall or Gravity Falls probably, or some of these other things.
So many shows, the people who make these new shows got their start on Adventure Time. It in so many ways, beyond just the fact that it was a good show that people liked on Cartoon Network, in so many other ways, it really made the current era of cartoons on TV right now.
Yeah. So our next story is the American Greetings Entertainment has rebranded itself to Cloud Company, and they're developing a Care Bears feature film. And I don't know. I mean, I know that we're in the era of 80s nostalgia, so maybe there's some appeal to a Care Bears feature. But as somebody who's a child of the 80s, it doesn't have a ton of appeal to me, the Care Bears. It's not a one I'm really that high on, especially if they're going to do it hybrid live action. That I don't know. Like, I feel like the Care Bears in live action would look really scary, like really weird. But maybe they'll look cute. I don't know. This just doesn't interest me. But
it all depends on how they design them. But yeah, I don't find the idea that appealing. But like, I didn't really grow up with them. I was born in the late 80s, on the later side of the 80s, so I didn't. We didn't really even have TV when I was a kid. We borrowed some movies from the library, and that was it. I think I saw one Care Bears movie as a kid, and I didn't really care that much about it. We never borrowed it again, and if we liked a movie, we borrowed it all the time. We borrowed this one once, so that's my experience with the Care Bears. So I can't say whether this is a good idea or not because I have no frame of reference for how big the Care Bears fan base is. I have a feeling that this is in response to the My Little Ponies being popular, but who knows? I'm not big on the live action hybrids. Yeah. Unless they're well done, and so far there haven't been many that are well done.
Yeah, I mean Paddington, but like that's about it these days. I don't know. What do you think, Adam? You excited about Care Bears?
No, because I did not grow up on I didn't grow up on the Care Bears. They're not very interesting characters. The only thing I find interesting about the Care Bears remotely is that first movie actually made more money than a Disney animated film. And that's the only thing I find interesting about it, because the first Care Bears movie made more money than The Black Cauldron. There is nothing else interesting about the Care Bears in my mind. And yeah, you are right, Jonathan. I think it's this new live action CGI thing depends on what the character designs might look like. I don't think they're going to be as scary, but I am nervous about it. Most live-action CGI hybrids don't really work. Paddington was a notable exception, though. That was a very well movie, and it gave a really good sequel as well. And so the idea of seeing the Care Bears in live-action CGI, it doesn't bother me too much, but it's a trope that's old. There's nothing really interesting about it anymore. And I think it's just riding on the thing of turning 80s nostalgia into big movies and TV shows, just riding the high that My Little Pony Friendship is Magic brought on.
Well, also trying to get some of that money that the Smurfs, the two Smurfs movies brought in probably too. But I don't know. It just doesn't excite me because those were terrible, in my opinion.
Oh, the Smurf movies?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody can agree that the Smurf movies were not very good. But then again, they're directed by Raja Gosnell.
Yeah.
Movies like Home Alone 3 and Never Been Kissed and Beverly Hills Chihuahua and the remake of Yours, Mine, and Ours. And, of course, this year's film that really got a lot of debate for the wrong reasons, Show Dogs.
Right. Yeah. So next story, we have Alex Hurst, who's the creator of Gravity Falls. He is going to be doing a show with Netflix. So this is very exciting to me because I love Gravity Falls. I think Gravity Falls
not just one show though. The deal is for multiple shows and movies.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really excited because he's an incredible talent. I just wish that Gravity Falls had gone on longer. 2 years just didn't seem long enough. I know that was his vision, but I wish that we could have had more. But he's incredibly creative, and I am very excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see whatever becomes of this as well. Gravity Falls is like, if it's not my favorite animated series of all time, it's right up there because it's just, it hits on absolutely everything that appeals to me because I like when I was a little kid, I would borrow books from the library on cryptozoology and paranormal happenings and all sorts of things. I would stay up late listening to creepy shows on the radio talking about Bigfoot and aliens. And this show combined that with ridiculous but creative humor and just made it something that was like, it was like he made it for me. Like everything about this show is made for me. And it's so good. He's so brilliant. I cannot wait to see what else he does. Anything he does, I will be there for. I am excited for the Pokemon Detective Pikachu movie because he's a co-writer on that. And I would not have even given that a second thought without him being a co-writer on that. I can't wait to see what else he does.
Actually, as far as the Detective Pikachu movie is going, he's no longer working. He's no longer credited as a co-writer on it. I think he left the project a few months ago. He's not going to get a credit on it.
He was in the recent stories about the deal with Netflix. People were still saying that he was a co-writer on there.
Oh, really? I like last time I checked, it didn't say there was and it said that he had been removed from the project, but I don't know. But yeah, as far as this Alex Hirsch and Netflix deal goes, very excited about it. Gravity Falls was an amazing show, one of the best cartoons we got this decade so far, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to be bringing at Netflix, whether it's a new show, a new movie, whatever. I'm just really excited to see this. But one thing that is very interesting about this is that this is kind of a blow to Disney's new streaming service because Gravity Falls was a Disney show, and now he's leaving to network, is basically leaving to the streaming service that Disney is trying to rival with Netflix. Is trying to rival now. So it's very interesting to look at.
That's a good point. That's true. I hadn't thought of that. You're right. But more animation for all of us, so it's good.
Yeah. I don't see this as like a direct competition to Disney's streaming service because Disney's streaming service it's a niche interest. Like it's for Disney fans, and people aren't going to ditch Netflix for the Disney streaming service any more than they're going to not sign up for the Disney streaming service because they have Netflix, I don't think. Like I'm definitely going to be subscribed to both for completely different reasons.
Yeah, but it is an interesting choice that he made. And you know, I mean, I guess most people would probably still pick Netflix over Disney as far as streaming services.
Yeah,
but
from everything I've heard about working with Netflix, they give the creators absolutely free reign to do whatever they want, and with Disney, you have to follow their rules.
Yeah.
So if I were in the position of making a show for anyone, as much as I would love to work for Disney, I think I probably would choose Netflix over Disney because they take a very hands-off approach. They basically give them the free reign to do what they want. They give them notes on what they think should happen, but they let the creators have their vision. Yeah. And I can totally see why he chose to go with Netflix.
Yeah.
Very interesting, very exciting. So next we have a new animated film is going to debut out of a Mexican animated film on September 14th in some theaters. It's called A Wizard's Tale. And we had to watch the trailer. Adam, what do you think of the trailer?
I don't know. It looks the animation just doesn't look appealing to me. It looks very awkward, to be honest. Like one of the character designs just looks very weird to me, and it doesn't look very interesting. It has a very good cast. Ian McShane is working on it. He also worked on Coraline, and that was a great movie. But I don't know. It just doesn't look very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a defender of sort of this level of animation, as far as this sort of style of like, I don't know, $20 to $40 million budget, small CG animation. I don't know. I give it some slack, but I do agree that the character designs are not great, and it looks like it has some creativity, but yeah, it wasn't a great trailer, even for me, and I'm very forgiving, more than most people of this. It kind of reminded me of Legends of Oz, which was terrible.
Oh.
But I don't know. Do you see any hope in it, Jonathan?
I don't know. It looks extraordinarily unextraordinary.
Yeah.
It just looks so very generic. I don't know if this is important or not, but if you, on the article that we got this information from, if you scroll down to the comments, someone is talking about this being maybe a franchise in Latin America because they've changed the name for the American release. So apparently, whatever this is something that's bigger down in Mexico, and it's not something that's in the U.S. It's something called Here Comes the Grump. I've never heard of this. So apparently, whatever this is, it has a following, just not in the U.S. So I think that plays a part in the character design because it's probably pre-established characters.
Oh.
So I don't know. It does, just the trailer itself does not look appealing to me, but who knows? I probably won't see it, but it probably won't even come near me because I don't know. Foreign films just never seem to find their way anywhere close to me. And if this one did over like Your Name, I would be disappointed. Like why did this one get to come to my theater? Your Name didn't.
It looks like, though, in fairness to this movie, it looks like it's going to be video on demand as well. So you could watch it if you have VOD. So there you go. But yeah, I guess it's based on a show from 1969 called Here Comes the Grump that was 2D, obviously, from back then. So interesting. Yeah. And then we have a film that makes Wizard's Tale look like an Oscar contender with Norm of the North 2 coming out. And again, I think a lot nicer to these low-level CG animated films, but Norm of the North was one of the worst experiences I've ever had at a theater. It was so bad. There were only 3 other people in the theater with me, and the mom, there were these 2 kids who were completely unengaged, and so I was just kind of like smiling and like talking and hanging out with the 2 kids. The mom was just spent the entire time on her cell phone, and I was totally fine with it. Like, no problem. Like, I didn't blame her at all. It was so boring, and it was so disgusting and puerile and terribly animated. The story really doesn't even make sense. Like, why are they building town shares in the Arctic? Like, what? It was just the worst. And I hated all the pee jokes, and yeah, the worst. And so Norm of the North 2.
I have never seen the first one, and based on the reactions from people, I don't want to see the first one.
No.
Don't see it. Don't see it. Ugh.
Yeah, there's literally nothing good about it. It's the worst. I mean, a lot of people were like, "Oh, they hired Rob Schneider." Like, Rob Schneider is probably the best thing about the movie. He's fine. Like, there's nothing.
From what I've heard, he's not even coming back for the sequel.
Yeah,
so.
Which says a lot. if Rob Schneider's like, I'll pass. That's not good sign. So I don't think any of us. Thankfully, it's not coming to theaters.
Yeah. Well, it's apparently only going to be 45 minutes. So what? They're making 2. Like the article I read, so they were making 2 direct-to-DVD sequels. Why did they think that it warranted that? I don't know. Everything about that movie is just like a baffling series of horrible choices.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I have no idea why that. I don't know. The only thing I can figure is that is that people just because it's on Netflix, and people are just like, oh well, it's something for the kids, and so they put it on, and it's like, you shouldn't do that. There's so many good things on Netflix. There's Coco, and there's
That's how those horrible channels for kids in quotation marks on YouTube blow up. People just put their kids in front of YouTube and they watch all these horrible animated things that people make just so that they can get ad revenue from kids replaying these horrible videos, some of which are like mentally scarring for children.
yeah.
It's like, don't put your kids in front of the internet. Like, people used to say, don't put your kids in front of the TV. The internet is far worse than the TV ever was.
Yeah, agreed.
YouTube is not a place for kids unless they're being heavily monitored. And I would say the same thing for Netflix, because, I mean, there's
Like-
so many things on Netflix you don't want your kids watching.
Well, yeah, and there are so many good shows though on Netflix that you could have, like Kubo and the Two Strings. You could watch on there. There's Captain Underpants is on there. That's better. You could watch.
Just
Lilo
make sure
and
you know what
Stitch.
your kids are watching, and don't
Yeah.
put them in front of Norm of the North just because you want them out of your hair.
Agreed.
Like, I don't think anybody should have to watch Norma of the North because it's so stupid. It's so poorly animated. It's like the film just feels like a freaking joke. Like the whole idea is just stupid. Like, the twerking polar bear goes to New York City, or what the animators call New York City. I'm surprised nobody has brought it up because the city that is supposed to be New York looks nothing like New York at all.
Yeah.
And it's such a terrible movie. The characters are all stupid.
Yeah.
Animation is like a joke. The story is idiotic and brainless. It's like it's a prime example of what animated movies should not be.
Yeah.
I'll just say to this sequel is thank everything. It is not going to theaters.
Yes, I'm so grateful. Yeah, I mean, I just, it's crazy. Like, there's one part in the movie where there's a man in a polar bear suit, and there's Norm, and people are like getting them confused, and you're like, what? Like, I mean, I don't care. You can have the most convincing furry in the world, and I'm still gonna know the difference between a real bear and a guy in a suit. Like, what?
I'm like, I feel like this movie was just made because a bunch of the audience, like the people who made this movie, were like, "Oh, kids are stupid. Well, we'll just make this movie because we think kids are stupid." And that is completely not the case. Kids are smarter than this, and I think even they can tell that this movie is terrible. Like, I don't know why in the world it even got to theaters. You can just ask Lionsgate why in the world they put it in theaters, but it was a mistake that it got put in theaters. It was a mistake that it is getting.
And a lot of theaters. It got like 2,000 theaters. Like, it wasn't like some tiny little run. Like, it's very depressing. Like, Your Name gets like, gets like 500 theaters, and like from the north is like in 1,500. I'm like, I'm gonna die.
Ugh.
But anyway, so all right, last trailer that we're gonna talk about is for the new series Dragon Prince, which starts this month, September 14th, on Netflix. And we talked about it before, but this was a trailer, and it looked pretty good. I was pretty impressed. I'm not a big fantasy person, so this is not my jam. But as far as a trailer, I thought it looked pretty well done, pretty sincere. I thought the characters looked pretty good. It looked like an interesting story. It'll probably still not be my favorite kind of show, but I don't know. I was pretty impressed with the trailer, I thought. What do you think, Adam?
I like the look of almost everything about it.
Yeah.
The only thing, I think I said this before, the animation does not look very fluid, and I can't tell if that's a creative choice or if it's low budget. I don't know, but like everything except for the non-fluid animation looks really good. Just the fact that it's slightly jerky is kind of throwing me off. And I'm sure once I get into it, I won't care as much. But like just watching the trailer, I'm like, I wish they could have done this just a little bit better.
Yeah,
But
interesting.
it looks like, from all other accounts, it'll be good.
Well,
Yeah.
I do think this is going to be a good show. And I think the jerky animation that you brought up, Jonathan, I think that was a creative choice. The creators of the show did work on Avatar: The Last Airbender, which had a very anime influence to it and it was inspired by anime, so I can understand why it has that animation, the look of the animation, that jerky style. But yeah, I think this is going to be a really good show, especially considering that it's coming off some of the people that worked on Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a show or is it a movie?
It is a show.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a movie.
Here on Wikipedia, that they use computer animation, but then cell shading and a reduced frame rate are applied to resemble traditional 2D animation. So maybe that's the jerkiness you're saying. Is that?
Yeah, I could tell that there was a reduced frame rate for most of it. Like some of it looks smoother than others, but that's why I wondered if it was like a choice to do that, because I thought parts of it looked like they were smoothly animated, and the other parts, like especially the people, looked a little jerkier.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm sure it's one of those things where once I get into it, I'm not going to care anymore. But just first impressions, I don't know, it kind of throws me off from what I'm used to.
And there is an early review from IGN. They said that it surprises by comfortably exploring dark story elements while giving audiences an assortment of lovable characters to engage with. In short, it's a worthwhile animated series for audiences of all ages. So there you go.
That sounds promising.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then there is a new featurette for the new Star Wars Resistance show. I mean, this didn't really do a lot for me. It's only a 3-minute featurette. Dave Filoni is a genius, I think. He's the best person in Star Wars right now, I think. Working he's the one that gets it as far as I'm concerned. And you know, I don't love the artistic style of the show. I'm not totally convinced, but I'm definitely willing to give it a shot for sure.
That's how I felt at the beginning of Clone Wars. When Clone Wars debuted, I was like, I don't really love how this looks like a video game. But once I got into it, it became one of my favorite shows. And I think I would easily say that the Clone Wars is my favorite piece of Star Wars media. Like, better than all the movies. And I'm not even one who hates the new movies. I love the new movies. But Clone Wars, for some of the arcs, are just miles and miles better than any of the new movies. I love Clone Wars so much. And I have high hopes for Star Wars Resistance because Dave Filoni is working on it. I know he's not like the absolute head over every episode. He just is like overseeing the project. But even that just makes me feel more at ease about it because he knows Star Wars, and I have faith that even if the show looks a little odd at the beginning, it will surprise people because Clone Wars surprised me. I wasn't a fan of the way it looked at the beginning, but once I warmed up to it and realized how great the writing was, I loved it.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way about Rebels. I don't know. What do you think about this, Adam?
Yeah, I think it is going to be something I might have to warm up to. The plot of this show does seem interesting about how it takes place before The Force Awakens. And, yeah, it should be interesting. I like that it's going to be like inspired by Japanese anime. Dave Filoni is a very good director when it comes to the Star Wars, working on Clone Wars and Rebels, and he actually did direct some episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I actually just found that out. And yeah, this should be a very great new show for Star Wars fans. That is until the Clone Wars picks back up, and I think next year.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, good. Well, that's a lot of fun stuff we got to talk about. I really enjoyed this. We got to talk about some not so great animation, some really great animation, some really fun projects. So, let us know in the comment section what you think about some of these new projects in development, some of these things coming out, shows ending, shows beginning. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear, and you can let us know in the comments or on Twitter. That would be great. So thanks so much, you guys. And Jonathan, how can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube. My channel I just recently rebranded as I Heart Animation, talking about all things animation, usually more obscure things. I've got a new episode coming up today where me and Mark Brown from the Animation Commendation talked about the Phantom Toll Booth from 1970. And if you want to find me on social media, I'm pretty much everywhere at John J. Norris.
Great. And Adam, where can people find you?
If you want to find me, I basically go under Animated Antic on everything. I have a YouTube channel, a Facebook, a Twitter account. I'm more active on Twitter than I am on Facebook, however. And be sure to check out my website. I do animated movie reviews every Tuesday. And if you can't find my movie review website, I am also writing on Letterboxd.
Great. And I'll have all that in the description section. You can check that out and follow me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and on YouTube. We really appreciate you putting in your reviews of the podcast on iTunes because it helps more people to be able to find us. So thank you very much for doing that. Give this, if you're watching on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. And we would be really grateful. And so thanks again, you guys. Really appreciate it.